All right, let's move on to something we actually do really like. Cobra Kai season 3.
Cobra Kai, Cobra Kai, Cobra Kai.
Yeah,
I
it
can't,
was
every time I say that title, I follow it with the triple Cobra Kai.
Nice. Did you know? Never mind. So we're gonna just kind of hit highlights from each episode. We're gonna go bop bop bop. We're each gonna talk about a couple things and move on. But that being said, you have to respect a show that is written by the same 3 to 4 writers for the most part through the entire season.
And something like that really shows, right? As far as the continuity and just the smooth transitions between episodes. And that's one of the great things about, you were talking about Star Wars, The Mandalorian, because Favreau wrote most of season. Well, didn't you say? I think he wrote most of the.
He's written almost every episode. There's like 4 episodes he hasn't written. So
now I'm not saying that has to be the case, but I think when you have a small segment of writers doing something.
Well, look
like
at
this.
Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot, I feel is a very niche show, right? It's niche. Like, it's a neat show. Yeah. It's a really neat show, too. I really enjoy it. But Sam Ismay wrote and directed all of it, every episode.
Well, another one, Vikings, Michael Hirsch, who's the creator, he's written every single episode of this show, that show.
I still have to watch the last season of that, so...
I'm only 3 episodes in.
Yeah,
so.
Maybe we'll talk about that next week with The Expanse. It'll be an all Amazon Prime show. The Amazon Prime show. Do, 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 do. I don't know what that was. All right, real quick.
Is that Mario?
No, I don't. Maybe. Let's before we get to our highlights, let's kind of talk about like some winners and losers from this season.
All right.
I don't want to save it till the end. I want to talk about it first. So we'll start with the bad and finish with the good, because we'll finish with the good and then go into the high notes of the good. So losers for season 3 of Cobra Kai, who you got?
Sam. Well, what are we talking about? People we like as
no. Who we like? I think if we don't like the character, like John Kreese, but like we still like the arc, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like,
okay.
So like Sam LaRusso, we both agree on. We don't like the character. We don't like the arc she's on.
No.
We don't necessarily care for Mary Mouser in the role either, but that's beside the point. We're talking characters, not necessarily actors.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Sam would be number 1 on that list for me.
Mm-hmm. I think Aisha was a big loser because she wasn't even in the show.
Yeah.
You know, but like I was reading a lot about like, oh, she was the conscience of Cobra Kai. Was she? Did you not watch the first season when she gave Yas that front wedgie? Where she got like overly aggressive with people in that first All Valley tournament. She beat that, or when she lost to Xander.
Yeah, she got pissed.
She got mad. She refused to bow or shake his hand, and she just took off. But no, I think like not having Aisha was like, I missed Aisha all season long, especially at the end. With the Katie bar the door. I'm also gonna say Amanda LaRusso was a loser.
You know what's funny? I had her too on there. I was thinking about it, just because.
Well,
it was like.
I think we have 2 different reasons for this, so you go first.
Okay, like I was gonna say, I don't know if they knew how to truly kind of, because she became like kind of like the relationship with her and Daniel for me was like, and it in part it had nothing to really do with necessarily his trip to Japan, but like there was something missing from their relationship where it seemed like, for me, they just came off more as partners in business.
Yeah.
And they were missing that chemistry of a husband and wife for me.
So every conversation they had was like the Lego movie with Lord Business, where it was like business.
Right.
I felt she was a loser because her character got sidelined for the two women that Daniel really loves.
Yeah, Kumiko and Allie.
Yeah, and Kumiko more than Allie, I would think.
Yeah.
He didn't fight to the death for Allie. You know, there's not a Peter Cetera song proclaiming how much he loves Allie or Amanda. You know, but no, like the whole time he was in Okinawa, I was like, he's totally gonna cheat on Amanda.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were gonna go that route just because of the type of show it is, but the signs were there for him to do that.
I mean,
his reactions.
Yeah, when she said, "Well, nobody's ever fought to the death to me before," like I thought he was gonna awkwardly sweep her up and take her to one of those the beds at the auntie's house. But yeah, I thought it was really weird. It was really, 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 really weird.
So who else do you have?
I have Daniel. I think Daniel is the least self-aware character on a show of non-self-aware characters.
I had him as he was. I think I wasn't sure if I was going to put him on there, but that least self-aware part is spot on. Rewatching it today, where he's having a conversation with Miguel, and he's like saying, "Well, no, this really happened. Oh yeah, and the water, the water hose was just there." He never just steps back and says, "You know what? I could have done something different."
Yeah, I could have not done that. And because I rewatched Karate Kid 3, the whole Miyagi-Do karate. Excuse me. Oh, anyway, just that, like that whole thing, and the way he was with Robbie, right? He did not understand how he betrayed Robbie, and I think the situation that they were in when Robbie has his thing, he should have gone to Robbie on his own. And not brought the police with him.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So that's all my losers.
So I have one, and again, he's. I actually have, in one sense, Robbie, and it's kind of weird because the first half of the season, I think he was, because like what was going on with him, I really, and again, I don't know if it had to do with the actor or the scenes, just didn't hit for me when he was in the what was it in jail
in juvie.
But I actually liked where he ended up. So it was kind of like that toss up for me. Like I didn't like the first half of his scenes in the show, but I did like where he ends up.
Okay.
So I guess I'm kind of teeter tottering on him. So I'll put him in that middle.
I don't have him as a winner or a loser, but I'll tell you what I like. That kid cannot act. Right? No. He can't act. He's not a good actor. But I will say this. The non-acting is the most authentic thing about Robbie, because Robbie is a horrible person. Robbie has no sense of right or wrong because he was raised by a junkie and an absentee dad who only showed up when he was in trouble. And then he was taken in by Daniel in a way, and it wasn't necessarily the best relationship, because Daniel, when he found out, Tanner Buchanan, that's the name of the guy that plays Robbie, when Daniel found out like he was Johnny's son, he kind of went overboard with the like, haha, I'm gonna steal your kid, which was creepy and kind of groomy. And then the first time Robbie does something Daniel doesn't like, he's like, don't come back home. Yeah, don't come back to me. He dumps him.
So we're kind of in the same route in the sense of we kind of have him but in the middle.
But where Robbie ends up at the end is just, it's like chef's kiss, like to the both of them, because Robbie can take a beating, but Robbie cannot do any, like his defense stats are high, but his strength stats are low.
Yeah.
When he was fighting that kid, what?
Yeah. I was going to say he actually took Taekwondo.
Yeah. but I'm just saying the way Robbie is written, like when he was fighting the bully in prison, like he did some sick ass moves, but like, you know, another Netflix hallway fight. Thank you, Netflix. Staying on brand. But he didn't. I felt like he should have taken that kid out easy.
Well, the thing, that kid outweighed him by like 60 pounds too.
Yeah, but like Robbie got him with some great shots, like with all of his body weight. I mean, you practice martial arts too. Like when you've got those like leverage moves and you've got that, you know, it's coming all the way through the center of the earth up through your heel type of punch or kick that he was doing. Well, like there's just no power there.
Yeah. Well, let's also be honest too, that, you know, you get hit with a well delivered kick, you're going down,
right,
and you're going to stay down,
right. I mean, because like, the other two guys went down like nothing. But anyway, I get it. It was for the story. All right, so winners. First and foremost, the Karate Kid, Miguel Diaz,
the true Karate Kid,
the Kevin Conroy of Karate Kids.
So the first thing we get with him, you know, we open up with him fighting in a tournament, and we all kind of, well, for a second I was like, they're not jumping all the way to the end of the season.
I thought they were showing us the end of the season, and then they were gonna, like, they were showing like the beginnings of his like championship fight, and then they were coming back to the hospital, and that's what I was like hoping, but it turned out way better than I expected.
So that was my first thought, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But when you realize that it's him fighting basically for his life in a way, I love that. And that was, again, this is one of the things I loved about this show, are how they edit in different, you know, their editing. I love it in the sense of, like, whether it be, you know, we'll get to this, the finale where they're editing in the, you know, the brawl for all with what's going on with Kreese in Vietnam, to this, and, you know, how they're playing, or to Miguel, you know, finally, you know, in that brawl for all fight, coming back to what Johnny said to him when he was in his coma. The editing in this show and how they put scenes together like that, I love it.
Yep.
And that's what I loved about Miguel, is him fighting to, you know, get out of this, and then waking up.
Yep.
And then, you know, his struggle over the next few months and learning how to have the walk all over.
The training montage that went over several episodes was just fantastic. You know, they definitely showed like a large amount of time passed, but at the same time, like, he had a surgery and then he was out the next day. That was a little weird, but whatever. I'm suspending disbelief. But no, I mean, Miguel is my favorite character in the show. You know, Zolo is a fantastic young actor. I really liked him as Victor on Parenthood. But yeah, I feel like he overall won during the season, but he didn't win the season as far as like story goes. Next, I think Hawk had a great arc. And I don't want to spoil too much of Hawk's arc for, you know, people who haven't seen it. You know, and tied in with Hawk, I think, based on some of the things that Hawk went through, he brought Dimitri up to another level that we haven't seen from that character.
Mm-hmm. And you actually told me that too, because I when I watched the first couple episodes, I'm like, dude, Dimitri gets on my nerves.
Dude,
like,
Dimitri,
I didn't dislike him like I dislike Sam, but I'm like, dude, it's so annoying. And you're like, just wait. I'm like, okay. And then I did appreciate him a little bit more, you know, the second half of the season.
Well, okay, so two spoiler things for Dimitri. One, he gets his arm broken, and two, he gets the girl.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be like the scene where they're making out in the hallway and Miguel and you know, her catch him was just, it was great. Did you ever watch Arrested Development?
Yeah, I watched the first couple seasons.
So George Michael's girlfriend, Anne, who was played by the amazing Mae Whitman, and every time he brought her around Jason Bateman, he'd be like, her? And that's the reaction I get whenever I see Miguel with Sam. I'm not going to say what I called her. But So I also think Tori won a little bit of this season, because she became more of a fleshed out character and less of like a karate sex doll.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about this season is you get more background into some of these characters. And again, Tori's having a hard time. That doesn't excuse your actions when you have a hard time,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to take that into account. And when one of the things that bugged me about Sam is when they're in the hospital and Miguel says, "Hey, Tori's had a hard life."
Yeah.
And then Sam's response, it's a Daniel response.
Oh yeah.
Everybody has a hard time. Everybody has a sob story.
Yeah.
You have no clue what she's going through.
No, especially because she's as spoiled as any kid in the show.
Oh, absolutely.
But
and again, I don't mistake saying somebody has a hard time for absolve them of their actions. But again, for a second, put yourself in their shoes. Don't just say, "Hey, everybody has a sob story." My dad is this, that, and the other. I mean, again, I'm not going to go on a Sam tirade.
Oh,
but,
I thought of another loser that I forgot. West Valley High School lost because karate was banned. and the guidance counselor lost because she's a guidance counselor. And you've made a lot of mistakes in your life if you end up as a guidance counselor.
Oh man.
I don't
non-punishing rehabilitation detention.
Right. I don't know if you had guidance counselors at your school.
I did.
We had guidance counselors at my school, and one, she was the superintendent's wife, I believe, and that's how she had the job. And she couldn't say sentence. She said sentence, which, like, I was in a meeting with her and I corrected her every time she said it one time, because I was so fed up with her nonsense. And then the other one, he was a really great guy, but he was a coach, which he was a much better coach than he was a guidance counselor. So, anyway, yeah, guidance counselors are essentially worthless. But yeah, I will say that I think Eli and Dimitri's stories really kind of intertwined well this season, bringing them back to the point where they ended. And then my last winner is John Kreese. And John Kreese's arc this season was legitimately my favorite thing about the show. Shocked me to no end.
Well, again, going back to what I liked about this season, getting a three-dimensional character. John Kreese has been the main villain, if you're going to talk about villains, the bad guy in most of the series, not counting Chosen and
Well, I mean, like, he was still a bad guy in Karate Kid too, because he tried to choke the life out of Johnny after breaking his second place trophy.
So getting that background of him, and one of the things you mentioned is how his story parallels a lot with what happened with Mr. Miyagi, in the sense of losing a loved one while you were at war. And, being a war hero and, going through the horrors of war.
And how you handle that trauma.
Yeah.
And I think oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was about to say, and he comes out a lot differently with similar trauma as Miyagi. And they're on polar opposite sides of how they come out of it.
Well, so there's a couple things, right? So Miyagi was in World War II. It was a much different war than Vietnam, historically speaking.
Yes.
And he was in a highly decorated front and center unit of Japanese American fighters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kreese was in the Vietnam conflict, to be fair, and he had a sadistic, let's go kill as many as we can outside of the Geneva Convention type of warfare, who essentially told him when the chips were all down that it was his fault and it was every man for himself.
Yeah. Not the leader you want.
No, not the leader you want. Plus, Miyagi came from a family, and when his wife died, he was told of it while he was still, at war, as we got that amazing scene in Karate Kid 1. Whereas Kreese didn't find out until they were over the snake pit.
Yeah, it was used as a weapon against him.
Yes.
The same way that the bully, who evidently is Martin Coe's real son.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Used his mother, Kreese's mother's suicide as a weapon against him.
That was a great introduction to how our expectations were going to be subverted for this season. So I'm going to spoil something because like I don't care. It was amazing storytelling. So we meet Terry Silver, and we meet a character who you think is Terry Silver.
Yeah.
All the way up until the part where he eats a bullet. And then we find out that the much meeker friend, Twig, is Terry Silver. And I loved every second of it. And like, I bought it. I bought in that ponytail was Terry Silver. And it's like, wait, what? You just, what? I thought that was really, really, really cool.
Yeah, this show has done such a good job subverting our expectations or teasing us in a way. Like, for instance, you see the surgeon come, she's blonde and we know Allie's a doctor. Nick was going to do the surgery on Miguel. It would have been super cheesy if it would have been Allie.
Right.
But
absolutely.
They know because of the friend request that Johnny sent on Facebook, we have Allie on the mind. So they have this blonde woman. And she turns around. It's not Allie, but we don't get Allie for another 5 or 6 episodes.
Actually, we don't get Allie for another 8 episodes because that was
the first episode.
So
second.
But yeah, no, that was great. Cooper agrees.
You heard that.
Yeah. Anyway, I think the other winner is chosen.
Oh man,
as far as like winners like that go, that was actually, let me rephrase that. Honorable mention winners. Chosen is number 1 honorable mention. We get to see more of what transpired from Karate Kid 2 and how it affected him and how it changed his life.
Yeah. And he had probably the one moment in this show or in this season that I probably laughed heartily at the most is when he gets what I would call his revenge on Daniel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, it was so funny.
I love that, but like, yeah, I just love that because I was like, they're gonna do it. I was like, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. And then I just kind of yelled when he did it.
Right. It was so great.
Yeah. But to your point, I loved how that conversation he has with Daniel where he's like, dishonoring himself, and I just wanted to die.
Yeah.
And he was forced to build his way back up.
Well, and the Miyagi-Do connection to the two of them, and how much more knowledgeable Chosen was in Miyagi-Do because of Sato, and because Chosen was a much more mature fighter at a younger age, because Daniel's never been a great fighter, right? Daniel's been a loudmouth punk who, normally gets what's coming to him. But but Chosen was such an advanced fighter that the defect of the lack of honor that he had, that needed an ass kicking to understand, he was able to learn more about Miyagi-Do. Plus, he stayed in Okinawa and continued to refine his craft. Ralph Macchio is a tourist when it comes. Ralph Macchio. Yeah. Daniel LaRusso. I'm sorry. Daniel LaRusso is a tourist when it comes to Miyagi-Do karate, or I'm sorry, Miyagi-Do karate. Douche. Anyway, that's 100% Ralph Macchio, by the way, doing that. Yeah, so that's just one of the things where it's like, oh, come on, dude. Like, you are telling the guy who was raised in Miyagi-Do, who was trained by Sato, who trained with the Miyagi, who they were trained by the same people, and you're telling him that you know more about Miyagi-Do than he does. How that's the lack of self-awareness.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if you look at it, Daniel is not the greatest person in the world at all. Like,
he never has been. Like, going back and watching Karate Kid 3, like, he made a lot of his own problems.
Yeah. Yep.
And he blames everybody else for his problems.
Yeah, he never takes responsibility. The biggest thing, like, he'll say, maybe I could have done this. That's the farthest. Instead of saying, you know what, you're right, I should have done this.
Yeah.
Or this is on me.
Yeah. The next honorable mention is Bobby, the preacher.
No. I'm like,
Bobby, the priest. But he's not a priest. And mainly because of that spinning wheel kick that took Johnny down when he was drunken in his church. But no, Bobby had some great scenes this season. He was used just the right amount.
I'm glad they brought him back.
Yeah, that was great. And they gave Dutch like the proper like send off because the guy that played Dutch died in real life. In the 2 years in between seasons, and at the end of the first episode, they had the nice little in memoriam card for him. So that was great. All right, let's talk about Allie.
Yeah. So
I want to know what you thought because I of course I have thoughts because Brian has thoughts.
Yeah. So the first thing is I thought it was super just. I don't know, super staged at how they introduced her. I didn't like how they introduced her with her mom coming in, and I wasn't a fan of that. Allie, in general, I thought she was okay. I really liked how she helped Johnny kind of, I think, fully break away from the past. And what I mean by that is he's been struggling with the whole Cobra Kai thing, and we've all known what's happened to him, and him and Carmen finally took another step. Yeah, they finally sealed the deal, but he's like, I don't know what to go from here. And then Allie, he sees Allie comes into the picture in not just a Facebook friend, and one of the things that they say, and this is one of my favorite lines because you can use this in pretty much anything, and we talk about nostalgia and all this stuff, and what she says, or what they say to each other, it is, oh, here it is. She says, sometimes it's good to visit the past to know where you are, but you can't live in the past. And I think for her purpose was to move Johnny forward and to help him break all the ties of his past, not just his past of Cobra Kai, but his past insecurities as a person. I mean, he had a terrible stepfather. That's another thing, we talk about with, people, how they're raised and all this stuff. And I did like that with her. I'm a fan of Elizabeth Shue. It's very different seeing her in this versus seeing her in The Boys, but
right.
I did like how they used her character as a way for Johnny to, nostalgia is good, but you can't live on nostalgia. You have to move forward, or else you're just going to be stuck in the same problems that you've had in the past. It won't allow you to move forward. So I liked how they used her in that regard.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought it was incredibly cheesy the way they introduced her, right? I felt like she was a chaos agent. She was brought in to shake the two of them to their proverbial core, right? She got Johnny thinking about what's next instead of what happened, and she got Daniel to look at where did I come from and how did I get here, which opens us up to Eagle Do Karate. And it was really, really interesting. And here's the thing is, like, this is again why Amanda LaRusso is a bit of a loser for the season, is because if Allie would have said to Daniel, hey, let's go in the bathroom and knock one out, he wouldn't have hesitated.
And again, it goes back to them there's just not being that, husband and wife connection. I just never felt that with them. and I'm trying to it's hard to say. Like I'm trying to think back on the first two seasons if I actually felt it more then, but I like just going for this season. You're right. It's he was starry eyed with both Kumiko and seeing Allie, and in the sense of like really wanting to get in their personal space. Put it that way. Like just based on how Ralph played the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't one of those where, wow, it's awesome to see you. It's been so long. It was more of him again, going back to this nostalgia. He was caught up and wrapped up in the nostalgia and forgetting that, he has commitments in the present.
Yep. Yes, absolutely. So, all right. So let's just kind of wrap this up with some highlights. The Brawl for All, as you put it, in the LaRusso house, I think was a great highlight of teen karate soap opera drama at its finest. You had sides being changed. You legitimately were concerned for Miguel the entire time, which was bringing Kyler back, the Asian kid from season 1 who called him Rhea when he dumped the food on his head, who Miguel kicked his ass in the school cafeteria. Was great, and Kyler had an interesting little arc because he was back to being a prick, and Kreese did a kind of thinning of the herd of strength by subtraction with Cobra Kai, and Kyler easily beat Assface or Penis Breath, whichever one you want to call him. But then when the big dude and Hawk came in.
Man.
This was an amazing little transformation that Jacob Bertrand nailed perfectly. He went back to being Eli for like a solid 30 minutes of that episode. Or I'm sorry, a solid 15 minutes of that 30-minute episode. And then when the big dude who had picked on him like got in the ring, he's like, who's next? He stepped up. Hawk stepped up, and those guys were like, this dude, I thought you transferred. The hair really takes it away from the lip, which Johnny told him would happen. And they think he's a joke. And then he takes the gi off and he's got that giant hawk. And to the sound department, thank you for doing the hawk thing. Whenever that hawk comes out and whenever Hawk goes to do something cool. That's a solid. But then he turns around, he's got the Reaper on his chest, and Kyler is like, wait a second, what is happening? And Big Boy's like concerned but still super cocky, and then he goes full narrator from Fight Club on Big Boy, where he just wanted to destroy something beautiful.
Yeah, and the guy's like, please stop. And
yeah,
he's like, no,
he's begging him
to
stop, and he continues to beat the shit out of it. And then he spit on him, which is like, I'm like, wow, that was a dick move. Like, Bret Hart, that was kind of his go-to, like spitting on people, and I hate that. I think that's just kind of not a cool thing to do. But yeah, I don't know. Like this was a great season. I don't know if it was as good as season 2. But I certainly did like it. Real quick, when Cobra Kai hit Netflix in August, it became the most watched series on the platform for a long time. And it was, it's been watched by, tens of millions of households, and has drawn nearly 2 billion streams in the United States, 2.2 billion streaming minutes in the United States. So you can divide that by 27 minutes. I will say, this is the anti-woke show.
Yes.
Like, it's got a ton of diversity, but it's anti-woke. But that is not stopping the people from the Los Angeles Times for complaining that there are 3 white males in the lead.
Wait
exactly.
3.
What? Johnny, Daniel, and Kreese.
Ralph Macchio is not white.
I know. You and I know this, but Anyway, one last thing. We find out where the name Cobra Kai came from. That's one thing that happened. And watching the Prisoner of War stuff is great as well. Sorry, that was
Yeah.
But anyway, I give this. I'm gonna say 3.5. I'm gonna say 4 out of 5 crane kick
illegal
screams. I was gonna say 4 out of 5 illegal crane kicks to the face.
Yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5. There are some things I will say. The one thing I definitely liked better in season 2 was the finale.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2's finale was just the hallway fight, and then the questions we're left with. This one, I still love the season as a whole.
Yeah.
Love Johnny's arc, love Miguel's arc, and Hawk.
So there's no individual episode that really stands out in this season.
No.
It's just a lot of like high spots. So anyway, all right, let's take a bow and step off the mat.